Hey guys, in this section we're going to take this static gallery and give it a little bit of dynamic properties. Alright, so what we want is we want these to animate when we click on a certain category, and we're going to do that with the help of the JQuery Quicksand plugin. Alright, so if you go to razorjack.net/quicksand and go down to download, click on that, and basically you'll just get this JavaScript file. Alright, so you want to grab this and place it in your JavaScript folder of the project. Alright, so JavaScript, what I'm going to do is just get it from my finished version, but you can do that. You can grab it from the program files, or you can download it from that site. So in the JavaScript folder we have this. I'm actually going to get the jQuery file itself too. We don't need this jQuery UI.js file. Alright, I don't know why that's in there, but we don't need it. I'm just going to copy these two and paste them in there. Alright, so that takes care of that. Now we need to include it in our HTML document. And we're going to put our JavaScript files at the footer, under the section. And it just works better that way, the way this application runs. So we'll say include jQuery, say script src equals js/jQuery.js. Alright, next we'll have the Quicksand plugin. Alright, so I'm just going to copy this, and this is going to be jQuery.quicksand. Alright, so now that should be included. Let's save that, and let's open up Chrome Tools, go to Console, and reload. Alright, so that means that they're included. If they weren't, it would show up down here. So what we need to do now is add our custom JavaScript or jQuery that will generate these links up here for us, and also give us that animation that I showed you from the finished one. Alright, so we need to go to script.js. Actually, did we include that? We didn't include that yet. So let's just I'm gonna copy this. Say include custom.js. Make sure that you put this underneath these two. Alright, script.js should be the last one you include. Okay, let's make sure that it's connected. Alright, now I'll go to script.js, and to use jQuery, what we're going to do is we're only going to run this code after the document or the DOM is ready. Alright, so with jQuery we use the $. I'm guessing you probably know this, at least the basics of jQuery. If you don't, I would really suggest that you go to jQuery.com or to the W3 Schools website and just freshen up on it a bit. Alright, so we want to take the document object and say whenever it's ready, we're going to call a callback function, basically just a function that runs right now. Alright, so everything that we do should be in between here. Alright, because we're saying if the document's ready, do this. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is create a variable called items, and I'm going to set that to our gallery so we can grab it with the ID, gallery, and then the LI. Alright, and that is right here. We have our unordered list with the ID of gallery, and we're taking the LI. Alright, actually let's put a comma here. I'm going to create another variable called items by tags. Okay, and that's going to be an empty array for now. Alright, and what we want to do is loop through those tags. So loop through tags, and we're going to say items dot each. Alright, so this is a loop in jQuery. Function, we can pass in I here to use. Okay, so this is a callback function. So it's going to iterate through, and then we're going to create a variable called elem for element, and it's going to be equal to this, which points to the element that we're currently using. Okay, which will be the li tag. All right, so this, and then we're going to set this variable tags equal to lm.data, and then in here we're going to say tags. So what this is doing is basically grabbing the categories from this data tags. All right. Let's see. I'm going to do split. We want to split them at the comma, and that should be good. All right. So next we want to add the data ID attribute for Quicksand. All right, so let's see. So lm dot, now the lm just means this. All right, so whatever element we're using, which is the list tag, all right, or the current iteration of that list tag. So lm attribute, and inside of here we're going to add the data ID attribute. So data ID and I. Okay, now I just represents whatever iteration that we're in the loop. Alright, so after that, we're going to do each tags. Let me think. I think now we need a callback. Yeah, function. Yeah, in here, inside of the callback, we're going to have two parameters. We're going to have key and value. Alright, and then in here, we want to remove the white space. And I apologize if I can't explain every single line or every single element. I just want to be able to fit it all in. You should have a basic understanding of JavaScript and jQuery anyway. So that's why if I skip something, I apologize. So now, to remove the white space, we're going to take this value variable and equal to trim. Okay, trim the value, which will get rid of the white space for us. Alright, and then down here we'll say if if not value in items by tags, then add the empty value. Okay, items by tags, whatever the value is equal to an empty value. Alright, and then under that if statement, we want to add the image to the array. Whoop. So essentially we're just creating an array of images that we want to display. Okay, items by tags, whoop, value dot push, and then we're going to put in this, which is LM. Alright, that looks good. And this here, this push, basically what this does, it just adds an element to our array. Alright, or I'm sorry, not an element, an item. It adds an item to our array, which in this case will be the image. Alright, so we're going to create a function called createList, and what that's going to be the function that generates our navigation. Alright, but what we want to do here is I want to add it so that we have this all items as well, because if we don't do what we're going to do right now, then we're not going to have this option. It's just going to be the categories. Alright, so let's do that. Let's see, make sure I have all my semicolons and stuff, which I don't. Okay, that should be there. And then after the second one, we'll just say create all items option, I guess. Alright, so we're going to run this create list function, which we haven't created yet. And then we're just going to pass in, for a parameter, we're going to pass in the text that we want, which is all items, and then items, which we defined up here. Alright, so we'll create list in a minute. The last thing I want to do here is loop through the arrays that are in the items by tags array. Okay, so we're going to say each items by tags, and then second parameter is a callback function, and that's going to take a key and a value, so we'll just say kv, and then we're going to create the rest of our items. So create list, and pass that in kv. Alright, so this will create the all items option, and then this will create all of the category options. Alright, I hope that's clear. So now what we want to do is create a click handler, alright, so that when we click on it, it will then talk to the Quicksand script and do our animation, and also set a class of active on whichever one is currently being shown. Alright, so let's see, we want this, let's put a semicolon there, and then we'll create our click handler. So we're going to grab inside of the nav bar the A tag, which is the link, and then we're going to say dot live, and that's going to be a click event. So click, and then function. Okay, and this function will take a parameter we'll call e, and let's create a new variable called link, and that's going to be equal to the current element, so we can use this. And all this means in JavaScript and in a lot of other languages is the current item that you're on. So basically this navbar, this link that's in the ID of navbar. Alright, so down here we want to add the active class, and we can do that with link dot add class, and we'll call that active, and then say siblings dot remove class. So basically if there was another item that had a class name active, then we want to remove that from the other one. We can't have more than one active class at the same time. Alright, so now we can actually use the Quicksand API, so we're going to call it on the gallery object. So the ID of gallery, and we're going to say dot Quicksand, and then we got to pass a few things in here. We want link, the link variable, dot data, and we'll say find li. Alright, so we're looking for the list items, which are all of these. Okay, let's put a semicolon there. And finally we want the first link, which is all items. We want that to be clicked or to be active when the person visits the page. Okay, so we just have to throw in here, we're just going to say navbar a first. So we want the first link to be clicked. Alright, so first, and then we're just going to say dot click. So that'll click it for us. And actually up here in this click handler, after everything's done, we just want to say e dot prevent default. And what this does is it stops it from actually going somewhere or whatever, actually following through with the link, as opposed to just doing what we have here. Alright, so that stops that. Alright, so the last thing we need to do is create the create list function. Alright, so let's go down here, and this is basically just going to create the lists. Alright, so function create list, and this is going to take two parameters. One's going to be text, the other items. So first let's create an empty unordered list. Alright, so variable, we'll call it UL. And let's see, this is going to be UL. Alright, and then we want to add the class hidden, and that's basically just going to hide it from us. So class, actually hold on a second, this should be comma, I struggle with this syntax. I think this shouldn't be a comma, this should be a colon, and then here we should have hidden. Alright, so that'll create the empty UL. Now we want to loop through the items again, so we're going to say dot each. Actually, hold on a second. Dot each, and this is going to take items as a parameter, and then a callback function. Alright, and we're going to say this dot clone dot append to the UL. Alright, and we want to add it to the gallery div. So down here, actually let's get out of this loop, and then add gallery div. We can do this with ul.append to gallery. Okay, and then we want it to create the menu item for that category. So create menu item, and we'll say variable A, equal to just A, and then a second param. Okay, and here we want to say HTML is going to be text, and href will be just a hashtag or a pound sign, whatever you want to call it, and then the data will be the list URL. So list UL. Alright, and then we want to close that. Actually, you know what? This should be a curly brace as well as that. And then down here, append to navbar. Alright. So I think that's going to do it. So basically what this code is doing is it's looping through all the list items that are in the gallery UL, or the gallery unordered list, which contains the images, and at the same time it's creating an unordered list for every tag that it comes across. Alright, so a new menu option is being generated for every tag, or every category, I guess you could call it. Alright, so that's in the gist of it, that's what this is doing. That's what this script.js file is doing. Alright, so let's give it a shot. Let's open up the console in case we have any errors. Okay, and let's reload. Alright, so what we first need to do is get rid of the static navbar so that jQuery can generate it. Okay, so up here we want all these links to be gone. Alright. Alright, so we're getting an unexpected token, line 62. Let's see, line 62 is right here. And for some reason I put an equal sign here. That shouldn't be there. We need a colon. Okay. Reload. Alright, so it's not generating the links for some reason. Alright, so the problem is up here where we define this items by tags, we have it set to these brackets. We need to replace these brackets with curly braces. Alright, because it's not an array yet, it's an object. So let's save that, go back and reload, and now we can see our links. Okay, so these links are being generated by the create list function, which is right here. Alright, so that's the animation part of it. Next, I want to implement the Fancy Box plugin so we can click on an image and it'll actually open up a light box and it'll give us some arrows, some navigation so we can scroll through the pictures. So we'll do that next.